there's so many people using WordPress because at the time WordPress was already 10 or 11% of the internet. That's infinity. It's the internet minus 1 0. That's almost infinity. Scale makes rare things common, and that's just devastating. It's hard to predict rare things, hard to prevent rare things. WP Engine was always the best and most expensive. That does not go along with, here's this weird discount on a blog.
Yeah. Were you prepared for that?
No, not at all. It was a disaster. Before product market fit, you don't know what you are yet. You don't yet know this is the perfect customer. So everything's about exploration, experimentation, try and fail.
Jason Cohen founded 2 tech unicorns and has had 2 huge exits. Most recently, he scaled WP Engine to hundreds of millions in revenue. He did it all while writing a widely popular tech blog called SmartBear. Today, we talk with Jason on how to scale a company very fast. By the way, this podcast is sponsored by our own ScaleUp for scaleups, InfoBeat. More on that later.
Let's start with blogging. You had 2 exits. You built 2 unicorns, or you helped in building them. And yet you were blogging all the way through most of those phases. You're blogging since 2007, if I'm not mistaken. And even though you are quite successful serial entrepreneur, a lot of people actually know you by your blog. What do you think about that?
No, I liked it. That's why I do it. It's for the ego, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's 2 reasons to write. One is you think you know something, you think you have an idea, and then so you try to encode it, and then you realize, oh, I'm not sure I know it. It's sort of like the thing where if you teach someone something, then you really know it, because you've had to figure out how to say it. So blogging is not as good as teaching another actual human being, but it's close, because you're trying to say it in a way that you think other people can do it. Yeah, it's scalable too.
Smart.
And so you figure that out. And like sometimes I realize maybe I don't think this, or maybe it's bad, or I look at an old thing I've written 10 years ago, and I think I would never ever write that now. Whether it's because the style isn't the same, or I don't believe it anymore, or it's more subtle than that.
Did you ever delete anything old?
No, because I think you have to honor your former self. That happened. You can keep the date on there though. And sometimes I'll add like an editor's note as a footnote, just like, well, this was, whenever.
Cue to Jason, like, WordPress sucks. It's like,
not exactly that. But so it is nice to like organize your own thoughts. Also, like when you're doing something like this, a lot of times I'll say something and it sounds really crisp and really good. And, oh my God, it's so thoughtful. How did you do that? It was because I wrote that 12 years ago and I'm recalling it, But then there's the ego side. So like that's for me, that's like the best work I can do, a craft type of thing, which is nice, right? And then the rest of it's ego. Like I love it when people say it's good, and I love it when people say I needed to hear this today, and I love it when people say, oh, I used this when I built my business, and it really helped because of this reason and that reason. It's like, well, that's pretty cool. So that's the ego reason, which is awesome. So I get both.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I listened to podcasts with you. I think it was a $1 Million Startup, where you talked about this a bit. And the co-host asked you, well, you do all those little things that help you grow your audience. For example, you send automated DMs on Twitter. You send one to me. And you have this little hack where you reply to people you want to engage with within a 20-minute window after their last tweet, because that increases the chance that they are still online and might respond to you. And you do all these little things that help you grow audience. And as you said, it's because of ego, because you like it.
Yeah.
That's the main reason.
That's the reason. Yeah, there's no other reason. I don't make any money. There's no ads on my blog or anything like that.
Course.
There's no course. There's no ads. So
you're not trying to sell anything.
No, so as you can tell, it's ego, because I'm not making any money. I gotta get value somehow. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, the story that stuck in my mind that made me think of that technique on Twitter is it was either Larry or Sergey at Google. They said, look, my inbox looks like what you think it looks like. It's a total disaster, so I kind of can't use email. But what I do is I open it up every once in a while, and I just respond to the first thing, meaning the most recent thing. And they're like, so anyone who emails me, either they get what they expected, which is no answer from the CEO of Google or whatever, like of course they're not gonna answer your random email. But every once in a while there's someone who's like, oh my God, I emailed the CEO of Google, and I'm telling you, like 17 seconds later, I got an answer. What a beast! What a beast! I just thought that was the funniest, awesomest story. So like a couple years later, I thought I could do that on Twitter.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from. And you can do it, anybody can do this. You go to use TweetDeck, and they call it something else now, Twitter Pro or something.
Yeah,
It's
Twitter Pro,
Yeah. And you just set up a search and you can say like within 20 minutes or 10 minutes, and so you might have your, people you follow, or maybe you have a list is what I use. So I just like, who is it that I want to do that for, and make a Twitter list. Because that way in Twitter, you can always just put someone on or off the list trivially from any device, right? And then I just have that that search and and like it's actually trivial to do that. Anyone can do it.
But you always appear online because of that, because people see that
Yeah,
somebody
oh my
tweeted.
God. Yeah, well, he's always on it. Not always anything. It's just, it's the same story.
Yeah, but it's like when we arrived and also we set up this interview and everything, and I'm tweeting about like Franklin's barbecue, and you're replying, I'm like, why? Wow, where? How did you see it?
We talk about food in Austin. I have to answer.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's
I
fine.
have just one more question regarding blog. The name is SmartBear. Your Twitter handle is also SmartBear.
A SmartBear, yeah.
A SmartBear. Yeah. That's the question. So one of the businesses you sold that became a unicorn is SmartBear.
Right. That's where the name comes from, because
Yeah.
at SmartBear, this was now in the 2000s, so blogging was cool.
Yeah.
Still is, baby.
I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel I'm extremely cool. And in fact, like 37 Signals, they had a kind of a famous blog even then, and it was obviously like the voice of the company. And I thought, that's cool. So I had written a book then for the company called Best Kept Secrets of Peer Code Review. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
Really good. Actually, 70 or 80,000 copies, which for a book like that is absolutely outrageously good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Yeah, it
it's
is.
like top 0.1% for a book like that. Anyway, the point is I saw writing can really be an amazing marketing and attention getter. And by the way, physical book, then everybody was like, you should do PDFs and just fill out a form for lead gen. And I was like, no, I'm going to do a book and ship it, and it's free.
Oh, really? It's
okay.
free?
Yeah, and just to digress there a little, because I think this could still be useful for people.
Yeah.
So the first thing that happens is people are like, wow, that's kind of amazing, and they're more likely to give you their information in the first place. Number two, they give you the right information because it's shipping.
They want the.
They don't lie.
Yeah.
That's
They
their
don't
phone
lie.
number, that's their address, that's their name.
That's so
'cause
much
it's
better than
shipping.
ebooks. Jesus.
Shipping. So like, oh, but I can get all these lead gens from PDF. Yeah, it's all wrong, right?
Yeah.
And they're not going to answer that email. But it's all correct, all of it, right? So sure, it costs you $10 to ship a book round or whatever, or $7 or whatever it is, but you got a real lead. Like, so if
Yeah.
this other lead is $1, but 90% of them are wrong. So the other thing that was cool is I had a fill in the blank, which was, how did you hear about us? But it was optional. You could just leave it blank. And people would put stuff in there. And since it's fill in the blank, you have to sort of use regex, or I guess now you could use AI or something,
Yeah.
right? But like, it was amazing because we would do things like magazine ads, like print magazine ads. And I could see when the magazine was shipped because you'd see this blip in book orders from that. There was no other marketing that we did anywhere where I could see that. So oddly enough, a physical book, I could measure attribution better than like Google ads, because people would tell the truth. Like there's this reciprocity that's happening there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's other things too. Like if you receive a book, you just don't throw it out. It
Yeah.
just feels wrong to throw out a book. It's really a brochure. But what people would do is leave it on the desk, they put it on the bookshelf. You just don't throw out books.
And then from time to time, they
So
would
to
say-
this day, I'll get like I've read this again, like 15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
It's 20 years now.
Yeah.
I'll get an email like, why? Because it's a book.
It's a book, yeah.
Your PDF is not being read 20 years, So just it's actually an incredible effect, and I think even today that might work because anything that's unusual is kind of sticks out, right? Anyway, so I'd written a book and saw that could be an amazing marketing thing. So I was like, let's blog. So I started SmartBear as the company blog to be a different domain from SmartBear, the company domain.
The A is important
Right?
there.
Yeah, and then no one ever wrote on it but me. So then it just became my blog. And then after I sold the company in 2007, I left in 2009, and it was still one of the major traffic drivers to SmartBear because I just saying founder of SmartBear was enough to get traffic. So I was like, I want to keep this, even though I'd sold the company and the name, obviously. So they're like, fine. So that's why. Yeah.
Even that's like quite opposite from you. You started a blog that's supposed to be your own blog, but everybody
Yeah.
else wrote on it,
Yeah.
and it became a
Yeah,
magazine.
literally installed WordPress, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna write about tech. And I had like the first post was by a buddy of mine, and then other collaborators and ended up being a magazine. So literally the opposite. I didn't know that it started as a team effort first.
It was supposed to be.
But you just like end up writing.
You do not have copyright problems because of SmartBear,
Well, I
name?
had it in when we sold the company. I specifically had it in there.
Okay.
Yeah. You can get everything except the blog.
Yeah, well, again, it was driving traffic there. I think there's something about like don't do anything to hurt the business,
Of course.
something
Okay,
like
of
this.
course. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, you say it's not like blogging is not to build an audience, but you also mentioned in previous interviews.
No, I
that-
like to build the audience. That's the ego part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like it, but are there benefits to you blogging for the current business for WP Engine? Is it tiring? Is there other things like beside your ego being happy and helping people?
It's hiring.
Hiring. Yeah.
Hiring.
Yeah, and again, that's not why I do it, but that is the benefit that it has. Is people will say like, "Oh, I've been reading this for a long time. Oh, I can work with you or work at your company." That was especially true early on. But it's not. What it wasn't good for is getting customers. I thought it was. I thought it'd be. Look, at the time that I launched WP Engine, I had something like 18, 20,000 RSS subscribers, which let's call them subscribers,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
of the era. And I thought, oh boy, well I know. 10 or 20% of them use WordPress. So, and they all love me and adore me.
Yeah.
So, they'll all come over. I got 2 signups.
But you never pushed WP Engine, or did I forget?
Not a lot, but I was constantly talking about it, like on this, because I was talking about what we're doing or, whatever. And yeah, I was like, okay, and on social, I was saying, let's go,
But someone else in your position would say like, okay, I have this audience, I now have to push it. I have to have ads on the blog. I have to like have a special offer for the 80,000 subscribers or something.
Well, there's products where that makes a lot of sense. But WP Engine was always the best and most expensive. It was most expensive and you get what you pay for.
Okay.
That does not go along with, here's this weird discount on a blog.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need to, that's not how you do that. But I did try to say like, this is the best. So you should, and plus like, you've read my stuff for years. Like we should just do that anyways. Yeah. I do that. I've signed up for indie hackers projects and because like whatever, I like them and it seems okay and I want to support them. So people will do that for me.
Yeah.
No.
Well, WP Engine is not indie hacker project. Maybe that's the difference.
It started that way.
Oh, it
It was Bootstrapped for 2 years. Yeah.
You bastards should have supported him.
So it was Bootstrapped for 2 years, and when we raised money 2 years in, there was only 4 people.
4.
So
really?
I mean, it's
How
indie
much
hacker-ish.
It's still a small project.
And how much people is it today?
1,200.
Wow.
Small difference.
Yeah.
Scaled up.
It's almost like we scaled up.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
It only took 14 years, so
Yeah.
it's also We did actually have hypergrowth, like the whole grew by 5x in 1 year, and then 3x, and then almost 3x, and then 2x, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like we did do that, like because it's the only way to get to many hundreds of millions in revenue as we now are, and blah blah blah. Like even in this time span, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Like because if you grow slowly, like well, I'll grow 20-30% a year forever. Like well, it's not forever. And to get to even 100 million a year, if you grew say 20% a year, starting at 1 million. That takes like 20 years.
The math doesn't check
Well,
out.
if nothing else, the world changes. Like if nothing else, you're just not as relevant or whatever it is in 20 years in tech. Like it's just, and so that's just not a path. It's not one of the paths to get large. So it's almost just mathematically, in order to scale, it means you're scaling fast.
Do you think that then your path was the middle ground, maybe between like the 20-year bootstrapping,
There's no middle ground.
etc.?
We grew incredibly fast. There's no middle ground.
Could you have grown even faster, maybe?
Who knows?
Or
Well, how
was
could
it? Do you
how
think
could
was it a choice on your part in
Yes.
terms of?
Oh yeah, because we raised money and tried to grow.
Yeah, that's. I wanted to ask you that. You said in some interview that you realized after 2 years of bootstrapping that the market is quite bigger than you thought, and that is why you raised.
Yeah.
Why was your presumption that the market was not so big before?
I didn't. I just bootstrapped forever.
Okay.
So that's what I am, a bootstrapper. So that's what I did. I didn't even all I knew about the market was it was so big
Yeah.
that certainly we could build. It seemed to me that there's probably in fact, I have an email to my business partner, because we both put in the money to do it, and I was like, I think it could make like 30 or 50K a month in profit, like once it gets going. And the market, there's so many people using WordPress, because at the time WordPress was already 10 or 11% of the internet. That's infinity. It's the internet minus 1 0. That's almost infinity, right?
It is.
So it's like, okay, so there's no market risk. There's no, that can't be the issue. And people need the stuff that we were doing, which is scale, speed, security, and then service about WordPress, not just about the server. That was the original idea. And it was like, and people will pay $50 a month. That was our lowest price at the time. It's $50 a month for that. And they currently pay GoDaddy $5 or $2 a month to host WordPress. But if we make it fast and scalable and secure for real, then they'll pay $50 a month. Who's they? People who really care about their website, care about SEO, care about whether people bounce. At the time, there was a little e-commerce, but not a lot. Now that's a huge reason, right?
Yeah.
But certainly just even blogs. I mean, there's also media then, but even just blogs or company homepages, people wanted that. Well, the difference between $5 and $50 is not much if you care about all those other things, right? If it's true, if you really are 5 times faster, if really when you get a big lump of press, the site stays up. If that's really true, the difference between $5 and $50 is actually trivial. So that's who we went after, and there was clearly like an infinite amount of. So it was like, we can definitely do this. So that was all true. All that was right. We did build a business with great unit economics and so on. But then it became clear just how big the market is, and then we don't have like good competition. And then the final thing was, I felt like, this is my 4th bootstrapped company, and now I have a daughter, and I'm just older, and it's the 4th time around, and it was just like, I think I just want a different journey this time. Not that they're all not different journeys, they are, right? If you think you know everything, like you will certainly fail. That's probably one reason why second-time founders usually do fail. You figure they shouldn't. They know stuff. It's like they do know stuff, but they think they know everything. They think they can shortcut things. They don't come within a beginner's mind. They think just because some marketing thing worked 8 years ago, it still works. That's rarely true, like right? So you do have to come at a beginner's mind. But there is a difference in the journey between bootstrapping and fundraising, because the constraints and goals are different. That's the different part. So now the goal is grow fast and try to win the market, but the money is not a constraint, or not as much of a constraint as bootstrapping, where you can't grow faster, can't invest faster than revenue. And when you raise money, you can. So often the goals in bootstrapping is be profitable all the time, because otherwise you can't eat. But that's not the goal. Okay, so the constraints and goals are different. That's the difference. That's the different kind of journey I wanted. And again, with the momentum we had, we were already growing well. It's just then we went into this hyper-growth crazy time.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Were you prepared for that?
No, not at all. It was a disaster. And it often is when you hit that like super product market fit. Because what happens is you have way too much inbound. Like there's too many customers and requests, and then there's bugs that appear. Bugs were always there, but if something broke 1% of the time and you only have 100 customers, you just saw it once and that was it. But then you have 1,000 customers, now you see it 10 times. Or it happens 1,000 times a day, and so there's 10 times a day the thing breaks, whereas before it was breaking only every 2 months and you just restart it.
Oh my God.
So scale, what I always say is scale makes rare things common. And that's just devastating. It's hard to predict rare things, hard to prevent rare things. You're having to manage it after the fact. And then you don't have enough people, so you're like, yeah, but we have customers, so we'll hire. Of course you will. That takes time. You have to go find people and interview them, and then they're here. Meanwhile, you have too much work to do, we just said, and this is now more things to do. Then they get here, and what? You don't have like training process and documentation. You never wrote that, and you shouldn't have. That would be a waste of time. But now, the fact that you don't have it is a problem. So again, like you don't have time to write it, or maybe you are writing it, but again, so they're learning by osmosis. So you get worse before it gets better.
So I presume you weren't publishing a lot of blog
right,
posts.
Right, so I wasn't publishing blog posts, right? Like, that definitely has to go away.
Yeah. Well, I have your quote on this topic from some other podcast. So you said before product market fit, you don't know what you're doing, and that's the whole point. And then you do, then you're ready to scale up. Then it's shit show, as you mentioned, all over again, because everything is growing, everything is weird, nobody knows what to do. The things that got you to product market fit are the wrong actions to take when you scale. So you have to mature. You cannot operate the same when you have 1,000 people. But sometimes the main obstacle is the founder.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. How did you overcome this obstacle?
Well, first of all, we have a great CEO, Heather Bruner, who's been here for 11 years. So the first way that I solved it is by getting out of the way
Oh, okay.
and saying like, okay, everything's growing faster than a lot of us can grow and learn. Number one. So there's a skill issue, as they say. What the business needs is outstripping what we can do. The other thing is what a CEO specific. So I enjoyed scaling the product and tech side. So that's what I was. I became the CTO and continued to work on that. But the CEO of a company doing that has other jobs. There's other things to do. We need to hire and then manage a real executive team, like a proper VP of sales who's going to open global sales offices, et cetera, et cetera. Now we have hundreds of salespeople. We have to start from nothing and get there. Marketing, similar. Support, also, support's always been our largest department in terms of number of people, because service has always been a big part of our product offering. And again, like sometimes in a lot of companies, support is some kind of shield against having to talk to customers.
Yeah.
But here, it's part of the product. It's part, again, speed, scale, security, and service. That's part of what people are paying for. It's the product. So that's not where we want to skimp. That's not where we want to like outsource to wherever.
It's a feature.
Like that. It's a feature, so we need to invest. But that means there's going to be a lot of people. That's what that is. So
It is what it is.
obviously. So again, another thing where anytime there's a lot of people, that scales. Hopefully, it's obvious that that's hard to do, and it's hard to do well, and so forth. So that's what I mean, like people overseeing that, and then finance after that. So there's these areas of executive management where we need to hire the right people, and then manage them, and there'll be a board, and blah blah blah. And there's lots of things about that which I don't even like, much less be good at. I don't like it either. Now, see, that's a big key, because if you like it, you want to grow that way, okay. But if you don't even like it, what are you doing? What you're gonna do is burn out. You're gonna not do as good a job as the company needs you to do, which hurts the company. And then you don't like it, so you burn out, so it hurts you. And so what's going on here? And what's going on here is the ego of being the CEO.
Yeah.
That's what's going on, because like you might say analytically, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But you're the CEO. So what got me over that, because I'm fast forwarding over like 4 months of thinking and working this out, right? Like I'm making it sound like it's obvious and easy. Of course it's not obvious or easy or fast. So I'm fast forwarding through that, but it is true. It's the correct logic, even though it was hard, right? But the emotional thing I needed was, I was sitting at a wine bar not far from here with a person on our board who was one of our investors, but also he was a multi-time entrepreneur. He had taken a company public as the CEO. So like, sure, an investor, but he had absolutely seen the movie before, right? Like, so we're sitting there, and he knows I'm saying like we definitely need to do this, but he can tell like it's just something's hard for me. So he says, I know what you're thinking. I said, what? He goes, you're thinking one day you're going to ring the bell on the NASDAQ, and you want the credit. And I was like, oh man, yeah. And I mean, not because I think like I will have done it by myself. I really honestly never thought that. Like you can't see tons of people doing amazing things and think I did this myself. Like that would be an incredibly strange thing to think, right? So I don't literally think that, but you're right in terms of this, again, ego sort of thing. Yeah, I want that ego, like I'm the founder of I don't know, like I did it or something. I want that, right? And he goes, well, you're the founder. You'll always get the credit. And that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, duh. Duh. Like, does Reid Hoffman not have the credit for LinkedIn? Yeah. He was almost never the CEO.
Yeah.
True.
Was he the CEO of PayPal? No. Doesn't he get the credit for being in the PayPal mafia, a key person PayPal? Sure. Isn't that his whole reputation as PayPal and then LinkedIn? Yeah. Yes. But he wasn't the CEO of anything. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right? Like
that's
it's like,
a good example.
So I just had to, I mean, it's like obvious in retrospect as many good ideas are, right? Even good strategy is obvious and simple in retrospect. Okay. But I just had to put the two and two together. Like I'm gonna get all the trappings of ego and all the emotion, all the adulation, all the external. I'll just get it anyways. Oh, well, good.
I have to burn out.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, you could say that's selfish, but I don't think so because again, I wasn't trying to keep something from myself. It was, but why do any of this at all? Mm-hmm. Why do it at all? Okay, money, that's a good reason, but getting the credit and having a reputation or being able to say that or whether it's to yourself or whether it's at a, I don't know, it's a party or you get to go on stage and blah, blah, blah. Why shouldn't you want that? Like that's a positive motivation. If it's that you can have power, okay, that starts to become a weirder motivation. But if it's just like, I want to do a great thing with other people and then other people will know it. Like I think that's a positive, and it doesn't have to be a selfish motivation. So to me, it's okay. It's okay to like want money. Is it at an expense of someone or because you're creating something? Aha. It's okay to have ego, as long as it's because you're trying to do something good and then take credit for it or get credit for it, let's say. Not if it's, I don't know, like I did it and you're pushing other people aside, like that's not a good reason. But it's part of why I don't like the whole thing of, whenever something bad happens, the leader takes all the blame. Whenever something good happens, it's like it's only the other people. And I feel like that's wrong. Like it doesn't make sense to just take all the blame. So I know what it's pushing against, that's true. What's pushing against is blame, and then you blame someone. If something bad happens, you blame someone else. That's not good. Or something good happens, you take all the credit. Clearly, that's wrong. So if you have to err in some direction, it's better to err in that direction.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. But if something goes wrong, you don't just have to say I did it wrong. You could say we. You could say we, including yourself. And if something goes well, you can also say we, right? Like, like we did it, and you can go name everyone that did all the right things, so that everyone gets so you do spread the credit around.
But you're still the
You
founder.
could say we.
But
You
you're
could say
still the
we did a
founder.
good job.
Yeah.
Like, we all did great things. We all made mistakes too, but the things we did right overwhelmed the things that we did wrong. We all did it. We all all together. We had different roles to play, and we all did that, and we all made mistakes, and we all did good things. And here we are. On balance, it was good. We did good. I mean, why is that not the case?
So with scaling and things becoming more complex, the problems get more complex, as you mentioned. How does solving those bigger problems change in the scale up and grow phase from the startup phase? Is it a matter of more politics, more discussion? Is it what are some things that founders can keep an eye on or think about, how do I solve these hard issues, or their teams?
Yeah. So there's a couple of answers to that. One is the types of problem are different. It's not that they're bigger. That's not what the problem is. It's that they're different. So first of all, like you were just mentioning, before product market fit, you don't know what you are yet. You don't yet know this is the perfect customer, this is what the product should be, here's how we fit in with the competition, here's how the market's operating. And you don't know that yet. So everything's about exploration, experimentation, try and fail, there's all this kind of stuff, and there's not a lot of people at the company. So you don't have communication and you don't need a lot of stuff. And that's what it's like. Afterwards, after product market fit, everything I just said is not the case. It's not that you'll never run another test. Of course you will. But you're not puzzled by that. What's happening is customers are coming in so fast you don't even know why. At that point, you're not asking who's our perfect customer, and you're not asking you're not asking that anymore. So whatever problems you have, we'll talk about them, whatever they are, they're not those problems. So it can't be that the same processes, same attitude, same things are right, because you're not solving the same problem at all. Now it's, how do we do more of this? How do we defend what we already have? How do we optimize what's already working? I'm A/B testing, but I already know, like I was saying just now with WP Engine, I already know that people are signing up because they want performance and security. So now the question is, what is the best message about performance and security? Now you're A/B testing around that. But that's different than saying, do people want WordPress? It's just a totally, now you know what it is, and now you're optimizing how can it be the most signups, and perhaps for the least money, but perhaps not, which again might be a different thing, right? Anyway, you know now, and you're optimizing, you're defending, now you have something to lose. So now you're starting to have a reputation with customers. And so now if you just release a new thing and it's broken, you start to get a poor reputation of, I thought these guys were good, but every time they release something, it's not good. Before, you didn't have any customers. There was no one to think that. Now you get a reputation, and now there's 100 reviews on Trust Radius that say you suck. Oops.
Yeah,
but before that wasn't going to happen, now it does. So now you can't just screw it up. Your tech support will be inundated. You'll get bad reviews. Now you can't just do that. Before not only could you must to go figure things out. Now you must not. It's just the opposite, because you're defending. So you're at scale, you're defending things. Then you have a lot of people. That produces more problems, right? And again, they're different in kind because As you add more people, it's non-linearly more disastrous. So you send out an email to 2 people, they might actually read it, but you send out an email to 200 people, there's a 0% chance everyone will read it. 0. And then even if you send it 10 times, and let's just suppose everyone reads it, which they won't, there's a 0% chance everyone understood the same thing out of it. 0. So like, what does communication mean now? And what does that imply? It implies things like things have to be super simple. To even have a chance, you need to communicate in different ways, like in a meeting, and in all hands, and also in email, and also in Slack, which pisses some people off who actually read, right? You're not, everyone can't know everything. So somehow you have to divide and conquer. That's complicated. But also, since people don't know everything, how do they make the right decisions if they don't know everything? So you want to say like, well, empower the team to make decisions, and also that team doesn't know everything. So how do you empower? Okay, so these are like fundamental puzzles that actually don't have complete answers. If they were a system of equations, there'd be no solutions. And the answer is, okay, but do they get like close to each other somewhere? Like, what do we do, right? And so yeah, there's things that are better than other things, right? So that's what you start doing, and there's no solutions. There's only like kind of better and worse-ish, and for you. Another thing that's hard is, I find that you have to match the processes and frameworks to the organization. So you read online, here's this way to make decisions, here's this way to build a strategy, here's this way to do communication, here's this way to launch your second product after the first, and they're probably all good. It's probably fundamentally fine, But I find if you try to lift it and stick it in, most of the time that doesn't work. And I don't really know why, other than to say, I think there's tons of assumptions behind each one of those there are conditions, you might say, that must be true before this fits in that slot. And I think a lot of times the people that even write those things don't know what they are. I'm like that. I write these blog posts, hey, this worked for us. I also do not know what is the certain set of conditions needed for this to work for the org or not. I'm not sure. So I just put it out there and be like, I don't know, hope maybe it will work. We'll see. It works for somebody. What can I do? So I recognize that. But so like OKRs is a good example. Everyone talks about OKRs.
Yeah.
They almost never work.
Really?
Of course, like most companies try OKRs and fail to make them work. Why? They make a lot of sense. And some companies like Google, they work really well.
Yeah.
So why is it that, like, it's clearly nothing stupid about it. Why is it that it almost never works? I don't know really the answer other than to say there's other cultural things and other kinds of things behind that all have to be in place for it to work. And I'm not sure where they are, but it's why. So that's another problem. You can't take stuff off the shelf and plug it in that usually doesn't work. So that's another difficulty in scale. I mean, there's more. There's leadership. So when you have 3 people, they do stuff, and leadership's not really a question. But when you have 10 people in support and it needs to go to 100, and that means there needs to be layers of people too, then you start getting into these different kinds of jobs that didn't exist before. The type of job wasn't there before. Again, different in kind, not just bigger. Mm-hmm. It's not like we had a head of support and now it's a bigger head of support. False. Before you did tickets yourself, now you hire managers who hire people. Now the job is to build teams which self-improve. Teams, not do tickets, build teams. So when you are building teams, what you're doing is building with people, not doing the actual end thing, but the people. So how do you hire? What does culture mean? How do you hold people accountable? And again, in a one removed, not how you do that, but how you hire a person who does that. What's the interview question for a person who then goes and does that? It's just totally different than even hiring another person who does tickets. So totally different skill set. The person who does that may not be the best at doing tickets. In fact, they almost for sure are not. And so you can't use things like, is this person good at writing tickets, to know if they're good at support. So the worst offenders of this are engineers. Because you ask an engineer, what's the best engineering leader like? And the first thing they say is, well, they're really good at code.
Oh.
False. But that's the first thing they say. What interview questions do they ask a manager? They ask them about some architecture thing or writing code and see if they know Kubernetes and if they remember how to SSH in. Because if they don't remember SSH, then they can't be a good manager, is what an engineer says. Completely false. They're completely wrong. Because that's not what a manager does. Mm-hmm. Is the manager, what do you want from the, you're saying you're not good enough for writing code, you need a manager to teach you how to write code? Is that what you're saying?
Oh.
Or what do you need from the manager Is it really code reviews?
Or do you need a people person?
Or do you need someone who can help you with your career? And you don't even know what that means. And they'll help you figure out what that means and then help you do it. Someone who'll make sure the team is cohesive. If there's a bad apple, then that gets dealt with. That we hire the right kinds of people. That when we work with other teams, that goes well. And so on. Isn't that what you mean from a manager?
Yeah.
Someone who's taking the strategy for the company and translating that in. Or if we need something that's translated back out. Isn't that what you need? Not SSH?
No, that's
Right? So it's engineers are the worst at this. They really don't understand what a manager is. And that's a manager, and I'm talking about another level or two up, director, VP. That's even different again, because then you're hiring and you see it's different again. So at scale, that's who you're hiring. It's not a bigger problem. It's a different kind of thing. And you as a founder probably have no idea that that's even true, much less then how to hire and manage that. See? So again, founders getting left in the dust because of these reasons, right? Not that it can't catch up. It's just this is why it's really hard. And then finally, you put the issue of time on top of it. If you're scaling fast, this is all happening like this, and it's changing like this, and so, well, I'll learn. Okay, but like right now, you have to learn. And all this stuff in all the areas are all happening. So one person's not going to learn it all. That's ridiculous. And so, what is the right? Bringing people in who have seen it before, but not changing the company. What about bringing people up who are ready to take the challenge? And what's the mix? Of course, that's all hard to know. It can be hard to know until, for the person who's saying, put me in, I want to do it, it's hard for them to know if they can do it. Nobody knows if they can do it. So you take a chance. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's okay. That's how it goes. But that's also why it's hard. Okay? It's fine, but again, this is an irreducibly difficult problem. There's no magic solution for finding out, since no one knows if this person is capable of doing it. And here comes a person or you could hire someone from the outside who seems like a good culture fit. That's also a risk. Right. There's no fundamental, complete solution here. These are just what we need to try to do, and then it won't always go well, and that's how it's going to be. And it's going to be really bad.
Scaling is so fun.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't throw up your hands and say there's nothing to be done. There's many things to be done in all these areas. We even talked about some of them already. We can talk about more. So there are things to be done. It's just they're not going to be complete solutions, quote unquote. That's not what you're going to get. But that doesn't mean there's nothing to be done. But it certainly ain't going to be things like, we'll just A/B test or something. That's not the answer,
That
right?
time has passed.
That time has passed. You're going to do that, but just to optimize in a corner, not to solve these big problems.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to the topic of hiring. You talked a bit about this at a podcast I listened to, I think it was Bootstrapped founder, where you talked about hiring people that are better than you in some areas, have more skills, knowledge, experience. But you also wrote a blog post that says scaling by delegating is not enough. So if you can explain what it means, what's so problematic with delegating things to people that are more skillful than you?
That you should delegate to people who are more skillful. The reason it's not just enough is a lot of times we say all right, I finally admit that I need to delegate this thing. And so you find someone where they're good at it, but it's not like the thing that lights them up, the thing that's their kind of life's work, it's right? So they end up burning out instead of you. So that's not really good enough. So when you hire someone in finance, you want to hire someone where they are so excited about the spreadsheet, you can just see. And I know in Eastern Europe that you have to really look hard to see that excitement. But you can see it. You can still see it because they won't stop talking about it. They want to show you their spreadsheet. You're like, why do you want to show me this? Because they really want to, because this is their deal, right? That's who you want to delegate to. So if there's someone where, like you, they are capable of it, but not, they don't love it, you're just shoving your potential burnout of doing something, but you don't love it. You're shoving that onto someone else. That's ultimately not going to work either. So you need someone, and now of course this is obviously a vision statement to say everyone should love their work all the time. Obviously that's not really physically possible, but it's good to say what the goal is.
Yeah.
Because then, let's say you're having a one-on-one with them, how's it going? Because you want the answer to be good, and so if they don't love that topic, if they don't love what they're doing, then you delegating it to them, it's sort of not sufficient. So it's sort of like saying if hiring someone who's a culture fit is also not sufficient. You need someone to hire someone who's a culture beacon. someone who's going to repeat the culture around them, bring up other people around them, a repeater, not just a fit. Because if you have a fit, then it kind of like it kind of dies away, right?
Yeah.
You need someone who's bringing it back up. So the same thing with work. It's not just someone's doing it, but someone who's excited about it. Again, it can't be every second of the day, but like that's the idea. But yeah, hiring someone who's better than you is the key. In fact, as a CEO, you could almost call it part of the job description, other than like don't run out of money and that sort of cliche stuff, which is true, but cliche. Not just hiring the executive team, but hiring people better than anyone else at the company is the job. Because if you don't, the company is definitionally not getting better. It's only as good as or worse than whoever's there, which means the company's not better. Just more of the same, not better. And as we just talked about with scale, everything's much harder really fast. It's going to outstrip how anyone can grow themselves. So you must hire someone better than anyone there just to keep up with what the company needs. And anyway, how else are you going to make the company better? I mean, people will grow. That is actually one answer, so no problem. But how are you going to grow fast enough, and how are you going to help people grow is by having someone who's seen the movie before help them grow. That's one of the best ways to help someone grow, right? On the other hand, what do you ask in an interview? Like, how do you interview, like, how do I interview a pancreatic surgeon? Like, I don't know what to ask, right?
Yeah.
So that is a puzzle, but it's the job, so you have to do it anyways. So some of the tricks I use for that is, one question I ask is, when you come away from the interview, were they just so full of ideas and frameworks and things to do that you're thinking like, oh my God, my head's buzzing with things we should do, be doing, change, add. Even if we don't hire this person, we need to do like half these things anyway. If that's how you're feeling, okay, true, you may not be an expert in that, so you may not be able to fully evaluate whether they're just good at talking or whether that's really good. That's right, that's part of the dilemma here. But the fact that you feel that way, wow, they feel like a culture fit, and these ideas make a lot of sense to me, they seem brilliant. They seem like they're a version of us, but fast forwarded in the future with someone who knows what they're doing. That's what it feels like. That's a good feeling. Yeah, that's and most people you talk to will not generate that. So that's a good place to begin. Another one I like is you call references. Now, of course, if you just call their reference and ask, are they good? They'll say yes, because that's why they give you the reference. So that's obviously not what you ask. That's not useful. What I ask in a reference is, tell me under what conditions does this person thrive and are a freaking insane superstar? Like the company culture, what are they given or not given? Are they given control over certain things? Do they need to be told what to do? Do they want free reign, or do they want like structure? Do they want a big team? Do they want to do it by themselves? Like, what company culture / situational everything does this person just? They're superhuman. You can't believe that a person can do this. What do they need for that? Often the person you're talking to, since they worked with them, they know that. They're like, oh, okay, this person, listen, like if you give them a huge team, like they'll drown. But you give them like 3 really good people, they'll be like 10 times what any one of them would be by themselves. That's what this person, blah, 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 and they'll just go off on whatever, right? Same question then, but then negative. What if you could construct a situation that would crush this person's will to live? They will definitely fail, and like whatever this is, they will fail for sure. Like, what would that be? And they're like, oh yeah, well, someone who's this, someone who moves the goal around them all the time, like, or maybe it's someone who does like to be told what to do. For example, like if you just say like, go solve it, like they'll be like, and they'll just like meander and never solve it. You have to tell them, okay, do this, and then they'll crush it. And like, again, the person on the other end will just tell you these things. And of course, you have not told them what your company's like. You have not told them what their position and conditions are in the position you're going. Of course, you're not going to tell them what that is. You're getting this generated. Then, of course, now you're getting a probably honest assessment of the spectrum of where this person's going to thrive or not. And of course, you can probably tell pretty easily, oh, good, like this is mostly aligned here or it's mostly aligned there. And you can get a sense of like, are they going to thrive here? Or are they going to get crushed and this is just the wrong person? Of course, what is beautiful about it too is for all of us, there's a place where we are superhuman and thrive. And for all of us, there's a place where we're crushed and we're terrible and we fail at everything. All of us. The only question is, what is it so that we can go be over here as best we can, and run away from this as best we can. Like that's all right? So it's not a matter of this person's good or bad, smart or dumb, da da da. Of course it's not a matter of that. It's even emphasizing the point that It's not that at all. It's that your company at this time, with this culture and this position and this puzzle you need solved, needs a person who fits that place in the puzzle. Not because the people are good or bad in some absolute sense, but because this is what you need right now. So by asking this, you're acknowledging actually a bigger truth of people, and trying to find out, is this person the right puzzle piece for what you have or not? So for that, I don't think you could ever get that in an interview, as well as you could talk to someone who's worked with them to generate it from scratch, actually.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are two ways that you can try to suss out, is this person better than me in this, and will they fit in here? It's still hard. Again, all these things have no clear, perfect solution, but these are useful in getting that. Of course, I would say that the rule that you should always hire someone better is not just for the CEO. It should be how you hire everything, at least, again, in some sort of vision statement, some sort of broad goal. Like, we should try, though, right? Like, we should try. Like, we should direct our interviewing to try to do that, right? Now, of course, there's different kinds of best. Like a junior developer, you're not hiring for the person who can code the best and architect things. That's not what they are. Well, what should a junior developer be like? They should be a learning machine, because if they're not good yet at writing code and they don't learn, that's not going to be good. Like, part of their role is to grow, because that's fun. It's actually fun for the whole team. They're mentoring, seeing them grow and doing stuff, and that's part of the good part of having a junior developer. So they'd better be a learning machine, and I also think they should bring like a energy to the team. The 20-year veteran, they're doing their thing, and that's really good. But the new person, they're hungry and they want to do stuff, and they want to stay late and do the weird puzzle, and they don't have to stay late. But the point is the energy of I'm all in. I really want to do this. I kind of have something to prove. That brings up the energy of the whole team. That brings up everybody when they do that. So even though they may not be the best coder, they're not the best coder on the team, of course, simply because they haven't had all the experience yet.
That, yeah.
Like, what are they bringing? Okay, other things. So what are you interviewing for? Right? Okay, baseline of development, so whatever that is that you need, and then these other things maybe. So your puzzle piece simply looks different, right? So of course you're tuning it to the exact position and thing that you need. But I think you apply what I just said to all positions. Of course, you have to ask, well, what does this really need? But that's good if it forces you to answer that question, isn't it? Like if it's just like, I don't know, a junior developer, they're coder like everyone else, just less experience, higher. Like you can. I think that's what a lot of people do. The job description for the junior developer and what they interview for, and for the mid-level developer and what they interview for, looks exactly the same, except you don't expect them to know as much. That's the typical thing. Mm-hmm. False. That's not what you should do. You should really ask yourself, what would someone who's thriving in this position, what are they bringing, what do they like? And then try to interview, try being an operative word, because of course interviews are imperfect, but if you didn't even know what you're looking for and you didn't even try, you're definitely not going to hire right. I mean, definitely. You got to at least try so you get there, sometimes, or directionally, right? Now you're building a better organization by being intentional. So being intentional like that, that's what you can do, even at scale. You must do, really. Mm-hmm. You can do that.
Do you think that applies also to acquisitions? So if I remember correctly, in 2018, you acquired StudioPress. So when doing that sort of acquisition as part of scaling the company, what are the questions, again, that you're asking? What are you looking for? How do you look at that acquisition?
Acquisitions, I think you look differently. You're not, typically when you're acquiring, you're not looking for, they're better at finance than we are. It's almost for sure not the case. So that's not why you're doing it. So that's not what you're looking for. So of course it depends on why you're acquiring. There's acqui-hires where it's really about talent. It might be a tech acquire where you're wanting to integrate something. It could be customers where it is a product that you keep separate and want to grow on its own. There's some kind of strategic reason behind that, whatever that might be. I guess sometimes you acquire to shut it down. We don't do that, but that's a reason. So then you're looking for other things, like basically you're looking at the finances make sense. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost us this to cause this to happen. Does that make sense or not? Yeah. So it's going to be a very different process that you look through and what you write. So it really depends on what this is for. Mm-hmm. I would say, I guess the most positive and healthy type of thing is what you might call a strategic acquisition, which means that the acquirer already has some strategy, and they see that by acquiring some other entity, they can accelerate and or de-risk the strategy. So if the strategy is we need to move into this geography, we want to move into this kind of product area, We could, of course, do that ourselves. We could build that other product. That would have this risk of whether it would even work. It would certainly take a lot of time, even if it does work, blah, 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 blah. If we acquired a company that was there and had that product, we would immediately be there in terms of time, so accelerating. And parts of it would de-risk. Like if they already have 10,000 customers and are growing, then the idea that we could get customers and grow is de-risked. Maybe it's just de-risked that the product is built at all. Maybe they only have 1,000 customers, 100 customers, but the product we like. So they're terrible at selling their product, but we're good at that. We love the product, so de-risk the product. Still on us to sell, but that's a risk we'll take because we understand that and we like it. Oh, okay. So I'm just putting together like what do I mean by a strategic acquisition? I'm just sort of defining it by example, you know. So again, I literally mean accelerate, de-risk. I'm just trying to put details around like what could that mean, you know? So then you're evaluating on that basis. Okay, so strategically, all right, so you have some way of doing that. But then on the people, in this case, you do care that the people stay, that the employees stay, maybe the customers stay, because it's strategic. Like you want this, you know. So you're not acquiring it to kill it. You're acquiring it to do more of it. So okay. So then in that positive case, you do care a lot about culture fit and things like this. So two organizations will never have the same culture. But what you can do is try to say, but what is their culture? If you're lucky, they've encoded it, written it down, and they're right. Because we all know you can write it down and that's not true. Okay, but that would be nice. When we acquired Flywheel, that was the case. They had a very clear culture, very strong culture, and they really lived their culture just like us. In fact, that was one of the attractive things. We're like, yeah, we do that too. That's good. Yeah, like that's great. You know,
a great date.
But everyone has a culture, whether they wrote it down or not.
Mm-hmm.
It might take some forensics on your part to figure out what it is. Fair enough. But if you do that work, then you can get an idea of what you think the culture is. Fun side note, this is part of competitive strategy that almost no one does. Like when you think of competitive strategy, you think about like, I'll copy their pricing grids, you know, I'll read some of the stuff they said, right? That's not even strategy, that's just competitive intel, right? Competitive strategy is trying to reverse engineer their strategy. What must their strategy be if they're doing this, they're saying that, they're blah, 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 right? And part of that is, what is the culture over there? What do they value? What do they value more than money? Like if they have a choice between some particular thing they might value and making more revenue, usually they'll pick revenue, but when do they pick that thing? Because whatever that is, that's what they really believe. What do they hitch themselves to that they couldn't change if they wanted to? And by the way, they don't want to because it's who they really are. Again, it takes some forensics to figure that out. But you can suss, of course, it's a theory, you have just a theory, but that really helps with competitive strategy because then you can start answering questions like, if we launch this new product in this new area,
what are they going to
who
do?
might respond and who may not, and who might say and who might talk but not do anything, who might see that as a threat and really like come after us. And so either that means we shouldn't do it because we don't want to pick that fight, or we should do it, but we have to be ready and invest into that because we're ready for that. That's what I mean by strategic competitive analysis, so that it affects your strategy of like what things to do broadly, right? Okay, so figuring out someone else's culture to me is like should be part of competitive strategy. Anyway, when you do M&A, this is one of the things you should do. They're never going to be like some kind of point for point match, right? So obviously you're looking for like, is it compatible? Like it could be completely incompatible. Is it at least compatible? Where it's like, all right, it's not identical, but you'll feel more or less at home. Nothing is contradicting. Like you may feel more strongly about that, and that's not one of our things. We don't hate that. So the fact that you feel strongly is not going to be a problem. We don't hate that. And then there's some things where we really are completely aligned. Oh, good, we both value that, great. And these other things that we value that you don't care, again, they're not contradictory to what you believe, so we're okay. Whereas it could be if they're contradictory, if one of the things are contradictory, that's going to be more of a challenge, because that will feel like this isn't the company anymore, this is all different, this is not who we are, this is not what I signed up for. Like those are the kinds of things you get when that happens. And you're already going to get some of that just due to typically you're acquiring a small company and you're a bigger company, and everything we just said, like we spent a decade doing that. Yeah. And they didn't.
Yeah.
So if you're just tossed into something that takes a decade to evolve through, it's going to feel wrong because it is. And then what happens there is some people are like, I can't take it, I got to be at a smaller org, and they're right, and that's fine. And other people are like, this is so cool. This is like I get to grow up now. There's all these opportunities that I never had before, because before there was only 10 people. And now I could have a whole job that didn't even exist before in a product and with people I love. Wow. And so like one of my favorite examples, actually I don't want to call out their names, although it's not a secret, but there was a company that Rackspace acquired, and there was 2 co-founders. One of them left the day that he could leave and have all his stock, all his
He was counting.
right? And the other person stayed for like another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Why? Because this person's like, and the other person was like, oh, I get to work on. So the other person wanted to do M&A, like thought that was fun. Well, a little startup's not going to do a bunch of M&A, but at Rackspace they were going to do a bunch of M&A. And they're like, oh, perfect, because you know startups and you want to do it, and like you're perfect on that team. Plus, there's a team. You don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to know anything about legal. We got to be able to do that. You can just join a team, do what you love to do. The part of M&A you love, you can do that. And you have teammates to do all the stuff you don't know or don't love, and if you want to learn it, you can learn it. And if you don't have to. Okay, that's a freaking dream job. What are you talking about? For some people, so that's what I mean. Like, so some people are like, this is actually now my dream job, but more than before. And for other people, hell no. And that's natural. So anyway, so you're looking for a culture, let's just say, not mismatch. Right?
To stay positive, yeah.
Right? And you have some strategy probably that this needs to fit into or accelerate and de-risk. And then it'll be a mixed bag with people. That's how it is. Like obviously you wish everyone would be happy and stay. And again, if you think a ton of people leave, that's bad.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't want to, maybe that's a bad acquisition, but I mean, you also can't acquire 200 people and 200 people are happy. Like it just can't be.
Yeah. There will probably be some.
Yeah. P.S. 200 people weren't happy before. They're just different people.
A lot of founders say that they're like the 0 to 1 person, et cetera, et cetera. What has been your experience personally, like with these 2 exits and 2 unicorns? Have there been times where you were like, I don't want this phase of growth?
Yeah. But like yeah, of course. But like then you go back to liking it, and then you don't like. But that's. I mean, I played the piano too since I was 7. Same thing. I would go through phases where I loved practicing, and phases where I really wanted to quit. I just think if you work on something for a long time, it's quite normal that you go through these waves of like, I hate it, oh, I love it, like I think it's just sort of normal. So, sure, but I don't know what that means, if anything.
It just is.
Well, it just is, but I do think. So for example, am I cut out to be the CEO of this company right now at 1,200 people? Hell no, I don't want that job. I didn't want a job when it was smaller either. Right? Like, so that's not a surprise, But here I am, 14 years later, though. So I want to be here, just not the CEO. So it was fascinating being here and working through the problems with different roles, and working through those problems of scale and other things was fascinating, even though I didn't want to be the CEO of it the whole time. So there can be an answer like that of like, sure, I'm not the CEO of the. But that doesn't mean I'm not interested in it. But now I'm older, and my kid will go to college soon and be out of the house. And so, do I want to do another? I mean, I'm still at WP Engine. I'm not doing anything else. But like,
but time for a startup.
No, see, like I really don't want to do that again ever, like any kind of any size. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, you don't have to. You're set.
Well, I didn't have to for WP Engine either.
That's
or sold a SmartBear. I didn't have to do that either. So. But I really don't want to now. And again, it's experience, it's age, it's other conditions. Like there's just things. You're a different person, hopefully, as you get older.
But you said somewhere that you always need to produce something. So you maybe want to make a new startup, but you need to do something.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, there's always going to be something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to.
So it's a book.
It's a book. I don't know, but it certainly won't be a startup. Like with me as the founder, I don't want to have that responsibility and that full-time everything and all in. Like I definitely don't want to do that. So I don't know what it would be, and it doesn't matter that I don't know because I'm not looking for it. I don't need to do it. One interesting thing, that in general, whether it's a strategy for a company or for a person, a common recommendation, which I agree with, is you want to be unique, but unique doesn't necessarily mean I am the best pancreatic surgeon in the world. That's one way to be unique, is be the absolute best. And that's fine. If you really are that, then that's terrific. But almost none of us are that, nor do we need to be. And so the advice that everyone gives, and it's true, is if you're above average or even quite good at several things, then that intersection is, let's just call it unique. It doesn't matter. Okay, there's 3 other people have. Who cares? Like, it's unique enough, right? That's where you have something to add that's special, let's say, and whether that's the strategy for the company, that we made this trade-off, and this trade-off. So we're the only product that makes those trade-offs. Or person, here's where I can contribute in a way that you can't just go hire someone else that has a contribution. Now your company may not need that contribution, okay? But if you do, I'm the best person in the world for that particular thing, for that particular piece in the puzzle. There you go. Now we're talking. That's your specialness, right? So when I think about what that is for me, one of the interesting things now that wasn't true before is money is no longer a constraint for anything. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a circle that almost no one can say.
Yeah, that's liberating.
So that creates a new intersection. And so like doing a startup from scratch, you could, but like you're probably not leveraging that. You might, because you could say, oh, but you could put your own money into it and not have to raise money. And so maybe you could actually leverage that in there. But on the other hand, there's other things which before weren't possible or weren't smart. But now it could be like, oh, you're the best person in the world to do that. Mm-hmm. Oh. So like another startup that makes a chatbot AI, I'm not the perfect person in the world to do it. Not leveraging my special strengths.
Yeah.
What is? So it could be something philanthropic. It could be, like I like investing in companies. I have angel invested in dozens of companies, but I don't want to do that full time. Like just interviewing that and doing due diligence and trying to make more money that way is not interesting to me. So I do like it in the sense of helping some company go, like both in money and advice. That's interesting. So that sounds fun. Anyway, the details I guess are just boring because it's just about me. But the point being, like, I have some new circles now that make a new special point. Mm-hmm. And so starting a new startup is, or just generically at least, is not probably not that. And it's not just like I need to do that for maximum productivity, although that too. But also that's probably where I'm happiest too. Like as long as you're including the things that you love to do that give you energy when you do them all day in that, then that's both. So that's why it is important to seek that, because it's both.
Mm-hmm. There's life after scaleups.
Yeah, but it's hard to find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny you say that because the name of this Credit Suisse paper is Life After Acquisition, Life After something like that, Life After some acquisition or something like that. Yeah, and it's like 31 entrepreneurs that they individually interviewed. So again, it's not like a big stats. It's really like 31 case studies. But the fact is almost all of them were very unhappy and many of them did not find another thing to do.
You probably already communicate with your users via email, just like Jason's WP Engine, but you use WhatsApp, SMS, or Apple Messages. If not, you should check out InfoYoub, our ScaleUp for scaleups, and our messaging platform used by companies like Meta, Uber, and HubSpot. It's built for scaleups just like yours.
Because for a lot of founders we interview, not just for this podcast, when we ask them, like, if you weren't here at this company at this point of time, what would you do? And the most common answer is, I'd probably start a new company.
Yeah.
And is that because they want to do it, or is that what they know, so it's the automatic response?
Well, none of us know, because we can't look in their heads.
Yeah,
I will say, though, that like, why does anybody start a company? Again, we listed some reasons before. I do think there's some kind of root desire to do it that's hard to explain. Mm-hmm. It's just there. You just need to. It's just going to happen. Because it's pretty illogical. It's probably not going to work. It probably will eat the money. Like the expected value of just having a job at Google is higher in terms of dollars. Like the pure like economic expected value is higher just getting a job. So it's irrational, and you did it anyway. So these drives, like to prove a point, to get ego, money, or just some drive to do it that doesn't even have another reason, that these could all be justifications that aren't even the reason. Again, it's hard to say. We can't ever know what it look in someone else's head, but even our own heads, it's hard. It's like, I don't even really know myself. Yeah. I think it's all those things that I don't honestly know. How would I know? I can't run the experiment. I can't remove one of the things that I want and then see what I do. I can't go back in time and say, what if? You can't do that. Yeah. So how do you even know? You don't really. So, but to me, like my feeling is that there's a bit of like, why do you start the second company? For the same reason you started the first one, because you just had to.
You had
You
to.
know? So if you weren't doing this, what would you do? I'd throw myself back into the situation. That's just what I want, you know. But I don't. But like, if you asked me at SmartBear, I would absolutely, and I did say then, oh yeah, I'm totally going to do another company.
And
I was
you
at a
did.
different place, and I did, but I was a different place in my life. I just didn't. Now I'm not.
Thanks for watching this interview with Jason. Now, learn how not to overscale your startup in this interview with Wistia's Brandon Schwartz.